I think we could talk about August 2nd for the rest of the day, about all the other things. And that's just the first chapter of what happened that day. As you know, we lost Mark Lee on that day. A lot of what I do today, I made a promise to not just those two, not just to Mark and Ryan, but I could list a long list of names of people we've lost since then. That the void created by those warriors that would certainly have done good for this world, that I owe it, that we owe it to them to be a positive mark in this world. And that can take many forms. For me, that was why I wanted to be a physician. It didn't really matter that it was medicine, and it was just natural for me because that's what I was involved in, to take that level of service to a higher calling. But trying to become an astronaut is completely consistent with my promise to leave a positive impact in this world. And that's how I honor the brothers we lost. And I will never stop until the day I die trying to fill in that void, because it's a void that can never be filled in.
I was walking out of the Tactical Operations Center on our little base on that day, and I remember I walked out, and I looked over to my right. I walked out the door, and I looked over to my right, and I saw you. And you were on your knees. You were fairly covered in blood. And you were washing the blood. Washing the blood out of Ryan's helmet. And I realized that this was going to take a very personal toll on everybody. And I didn't know what to say. There was no training. No one had been killed in Iraq before for SEALs. We never talked about, we talked about, hey, if a guy gets wounded, if a guy gets killed, here's what we're going to do in the next 6 minutes. Here's how we're going to get a guy extracted. Here's the casualty evacuation. Here's the protocol that we're going to go through. Here's the medical procedures we're going to do to try and save his life. These are all the things we're going to do in the 15 minutes from when someone gets hurt. And I had been in the SEAL teams for 16 years at that point, 15 years. And not one time ever in any training scenario did we ever talk about, okay, now what do we do? Now, there's a little protocol around, hey, here's the casualty officer that's going to go. Here's the protocol that we follow for notification of the family. All that stuff, all the mechanics of it existed. And we did what we were supposed to do. We followed that protocol. But the protocol for how do I look at a 21-year-old kid that's cleaning the blood out of one of his friends' helmets? There's no protocol for that. And what I had to do was, because I was still the guy in charge, and I had to try and figure out what to do. There was no one to ask. No one to ask. There's no person to say, hey, what do I do now? And you know what I defaulted to, which I actually told you guys in the clear 2 days later, when I finally could assemble a sentence, was go back to work. Was that this is what we came to do. We still have a mission. We still have soldiers and Marines that are out there risking their lives that we absolutely provide safety and security for. We can deliver those guys home to their families. And that's what we need to do. And that's what we did.
Sometimes words, there are no right words for situations like that. But I think just being there with the people you love at your side is the most important thing to be doing. To go back out and work and do the job you came there to do, that you signed up to do. And it's not for, I don't mean to be disrespectful with these words, but it's not for country or service. It's for the person sitting next to you, for standing next to you, for your brother and your sister. You do it because you love that person. Because, at least to me and in my experience, the folks who joined to be SEALs, who did it because they wanted to serve their country, that was the greatest reason they were there. There wasn't a bigger intrinsic reason, like doing it for the person next to you, for the brotherhood, for yourself. They didn't seem to make it through, and I'm not sure if I would die for my country, but I would and I will die for my brother and sister, without a doubt. And that's just a taste of war. We lost 2 people that day. There are platoons, companies who have lost half, most of their unit. You see the numbers from World War II or from Vietnam. It's astounding. I am not trying to belittle the sacrifices our service members have done in this war. But I'm just trying to put it in context that we had a whole generation of people. We asked them to continue fighting despite the heavy losses and casualties they suffered on a daily basis that trumped any number we had in the post 9/11 wars. and they did it. So being there with your brothers and sisters and continuing that fight, that is the best remedy for a situation like that.
And obviously the other, it's real obvious, I guess, when you look back. But again, this is something that a lot of times we weren't prepared for in the modern SEAL teams. When I was raised in the SEAL teams in the 90s, we were preparing for one mission. If we were lucky, we'd do one mission. And that mindset kind of got into our heads where you just didn't think about how you would continue on. And yet, we stood down for like 2 days, and then it was like, okay, get your gear back on, and it's time to go.
Even in that same day, after Ryan was hit, we said, get your stuff on, get your gear back on, reload, get back out there. And it pains me to this day that I wasn't there for that assault, because I was with Ryan. And I'm glad that I was by Ryan's side. But I meant I wasn't there for Mark when he was shot and killed. The next time I saw him was in the morgue, giving a final kiss to his forehead. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. And so Ryan wounded, and severely wounded. And then you're right. It wasn't even a day. It was a matter of an hour, maybe, before Leif called me up and said, hey, this is what's going on. And then, once Mark was gone, then it was a couple days. And then, okay. And again, the strange thing, or I guess the thing to contemplate a little bit deeper is, if you're going onto Guadalcanal, like, you're going to fight and you're not going to have time to think about what just happened. Whereas, hey, the way it was for us, it was like, okay, well, now you're going to stand down for 2 days. You're going to think about everything. You're going to package up your bro's gear and send it home. That's what's going to happen. You're going to be thinking about that. And then you're going to get in the same vehicles. You're going to roll out. And that's what, as you said, that's what you do for your brothers. That's what you do. You keep doing your job. I was thinking about that too when you were talking about shooting. And you were talking about, look, you know what you do? You know how you get through that part of the course? You follow the procedures. You do your job. You check your body position. You front sight focus. How do you complete the stalks? You figure out where the dead space is. You follow the protocol. That's what you do. That's what you do. That's how you move forward. You do what you're supposed to do. And of course, it wasn't over either, because then, in September, we lost Mikey as well. So close to being home, going home, and